Ladies and gentlemen, I am Matteo Wiegold, content producer at Talk Worldwide, and I have the pleasure to be joined by Mr. Ken Lim, Assistant Chief Executive, Industry at the Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore. Before his current role, Kenneth previously worked as Chief Technology Officer, also at the MPA of Singapore, seconded from the Government Technology Agency GovTech. Kenneth has over 20 years of technology career experience, having started as a programmer at PSA, then moved to Vice President of Technology Development and Trade and Logistics at Crimson Logic, and Senior Vice President of Market Operations and IT at Energy Market Company before joining the public sector in 2011. His professional experience includes seaports, logistics IT, and energy industries. Hi, Kenneth. Welcome.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
No, thank you for agreeing to this interview, and we are really honored to have you with us, even if it's virtually.
Yeah, indeed, it will be better for face-to-face, but I think virtual will be reaching out to many audiences as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure that hopefully once we are in Singapore for Talk Asia in November, we will be able to meet. So Kenneth, I would say let's just begin. I wanted to ask you about tourist sport expansion and how it marks the next significant landmark in the Port of Singapore's evolution. I think it's going to be the world's largest terminal with 60 million square feet equivalent units. What is the outlook for the Port of Singapore once the project is complete? Are we looking at it maybe as more as a global trade facilitator rather than just a port?
Indeed, the Tuas Port will be the world's largest fully automated container terminal when completed by the 2040s, with a handling capacity of up to 65 million TEUs per annum. But that would not mark the completion of the project. In fact, this expanded capacity will support the continued growth of container lines in Singapore and also boost the network connectivity with the region and beyond. Because Tuas Port will be the smarter with digitalization, for instance, using Digital Port SG as a one-stop digital portal for port clearances and regulatory transactions that integrate with other government agencies. In fact, Tuas Port will strengthen Singapore's position as an air and sea hub and help to expand the suite of connectivity options for cargo owners. I'll just say that finally, Tuas Port will further integrate Singapore into the regional network and contribute towards greater resiliency and efficiency of the global supply chain and trade.
So just to understand, because we are talking about interconnectivity with this new port, I understand that the 5 terminals that you currently have will become unified into one mega terminal. Is that correct?
Indeed, MPA agencies and government agency and our port operator PSA Singapore are working together to consolidate them into one mega port. But beyond that, we're also working together to cultivate and locate industry that are synergistic to the port operation within the Tuas district to develop the Tuas ecosystem. So with the development of innovation solution for physical and digital connectivity between the port and this industry cluster, we can have a greater efficiency in the entire supply chain.
And so you've mentioned the Tuas ecosystem. Could you tell us a little bit more about what this ecosystem is going to look like?
It will be a revolving industry that actually would benefit from close proximity to this whole Tuas megaport, so that the shorter inter-terminal haulage can be minimized. At the same time, automation of maybe the automated guided vehicles or the autonomous prime mover can directly go to some of this industry and then bring it to the port, so that there is less traveling time and direct transshipment across many sectors. So it could apply to many of the sectors. Thanks.
That is definitely very interesting because it will also optimize trade in a way and make operations more efficiency. How, for example, does this link to the idea or the goal of transforming Singapore, sorry, into the global maritime hub for connectivity, innovation, even talent by 2030? I understand that you are looking to, let's say, bring the port to forward. Could you tell us a little bit about that goal?
Yes, in Singapore, today is both a global hub port and a leading international maritime center, home to one of the world's largest and highest concentration of international shipping groups. We have about
Mhm.
170 international shipping groups in Singapore. These shipping enterprises generate demand, for maritime-related services such as ship management, shipbroking, finance, maritime technology, and more. And therefore, looking
Mhm.
ahead, we feel that there are two key business areas in which the industry is going to develop new capabilities. One is on digitalization, and secondly is on decarbonization.
Right.
And therefore, I think where MPA and Singapore wants to see is to help and support the industry from these two areas, uh, putting in place the R&D, partnering with regulators, and to set standards for future of decarbonization, setting standard for digitalization, and also supporting emerging capabilities in carbon services.
Right. I think those two subjects that you have touched upon, digitalization and decarbonization, are definitely, let's say, very popular right now across the industry. And we will talk about digitalization in a bit, but for now, that you've mentioned decarbonization and how, and given the fact that we're trying to move away from fossil fuels, but that this proves challenging, it is a challenge. What are your thoughts on how Singapore and the MPA can lead the way in this energy transition that we are all going through?
To be a global one. It has to be not only Singapore, but also many of the stakeholders. And there lies the challenge of mobilizing the stakeholders across the maritime and energy value chain to commit the resources to decarbonize and to develop the necessary low and zero emission solution to make this green transition a reality. And in Singapore, we are taking various steps to galvanize the maritime community and collaborate with industry stakeholders, such as
Mhm.
the shipping lines, engine makers, class societies, investors, and government to move closer to achieving this level of ambition in the IMO initial GHG strategy. And the reason why we do that is because as a world-class bunkering hub, Singapore must be ready for a multi-fuel bunkering transition, right? Because in the future, we believe that it's not only the fossil fuel, but there's also other type of future fuel
Mhm.
supplying low and zero carbon fuel that will include like biofuel,
Mhm.
methanol, ammonia, and potentially hydrogen, right? And so these are very important. And not forgetting about green technologies and also carbon capture kind of technology, right? Also, Singapore, besides the bunkering hub, Singapore is a leading flag of choice. So, as
Right.
a Singapore registry uh, of ships, we will have to work with ship owners, operators to achieve their
Yes.
green aspiration
Mhm.
through recognition, incentives, and also
Mhm.
technical guidance. Last but not least, I think
Mhm.
because we are also an IMO member, at the
Yes.
IMO and international fora, we will continue to advance strong, credible, and inclusive climate action, especially
Mhm.
with regards to the progress of mid to long-term measure for GHG emission reduction.
Exactly. Well, there is definitely a lot to do. There are lots of angles in which the industry can tackle this issue and in the hope of reducing carbon emissions by 2050. I wanted to ask you about the Future Fuels Port Network that sort of the MPA is trying to develop. You've mentioned that there are challenges for reducing carbon emissions. For example, what would be, in your views, the main challenges for increasing scalability of these new, let's say, non-fossil fuels?
Indeed. One of the main challenge for the future marine fuel is to provide ship owners the
Mm-hmm.
assurance that the supply of their
Okay.
future fuel of choice is available
Mm-hmm.
after along their sailing routes, right?
Mm-hmm.
This entails putting in place the relevant harmonized bunkering standards across the different ports, which is
Mm-hmm.
why the Future Fuel Port Network,
Mm-hmm.
launched in 2020 by MPA, serve as a collaborative platform to advance decarbonization of shipping through, first, the adoption of clean marine fuel, and
Mm-hmm.
secondly, partnering MPA, Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism from Japan and the Port Rotterdam Authority. We hope to welcome more organizations to join the
Mm-hmm.
network. So at the start, the collaboration will look into developing harmonized standards for a few ports, and these standards can then subsequently be scaled up and
Mm-hmm.
also shared more widely.
Right. I think, yeah, based on what you've said, there is a lot to do in terms of like collaboration, right? I think that that's one of the key takeaways from what you're saying, and also from what was discussed during the Singapore Maritime Week. I think there are a lot of bridges where stakeholders can sort of partner up. Moving on from that, I wanted to know. Um, about this initiative that I've read about, the Green Ship Finance Center of the East, and how the MPA is working with the MSA and other industry partners to develop this sort of financial center. I don't know if you could tell us a little bit about this.
Sure, happy to do so. Green financing is an area that is gaining momentum in
Mm-hmm.
shipping, and MPAC ourselves playing an active role in supporting the industry and
Mm-hmm.
Singapore to make it as a green maritime finance hub.
Yeah.
Right? We are optimistic that the decarbonization agenda presents opportunities for many in Singapore to position ourselves a leading carbon services hub in Asia. And
Mm-hmm.
with a conducive regulatory environment, with quality standards, guidelines being developed for carbon accounting and offsetting, so Singapore aims to bring this ecosystem of carbon service providers into the maritime, which is why we work with the Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS, and also other agencies to take strategies to secure Singapore's position as a green maritime finance hub. For instance, to establish clearer linkages between climate improvement action and
Mm-hmm.
capital investment. And MPA will work with partners such as the Global Center for Maritime Decarbonization and the Monetary Authority of Singapore to develop
Mm-hmm.
a standard taxonomy, right, for sustainable assets and
Mm-hmm.
activities in the maritime sector. With this will provide corporates,
Mm-hmm.
investors, and policymakers across different industry with clearer and more
Mm-hmm.
consistent definition on environmental sustainable economic activities. And also, we will also look into expanding and diversifying sources of financing in Singapore, including perhaps to introduce potentially new products or
Mm-hmm.
financing models focusing on green financing.
Uh-huh. When you mention new products, you mean in more like alternative fields, just to understand better, or
New
maybe more on the
product, it could,
finance?
that's right, that's right. New products could be the
Uh-huh.
new financing products. So
Ah,
it could
okay.
be from the banks, it could be
Mm-hmm.
from alternate financier, it could be other, we have a fintech industry growing in Singapore. So different sources of investment products could actually come into Singapore.
I think this is very interesting and very innovative, because there is always traditionally there has always been this sort of dichotomy between sustainability and profit, and when you want to become more sustainable you might be at risk and profit. But it is very interesting now that the industries and I think Singapore is doing a commendable work in that regard, sort of like bridging these two areas that have been traditionally mutually exclusive. And we can even talk about green profit, in a sense.
Yes,
Um, Talking about that, and we've touched upon the financial aspect of sustainability, about the fuels. I would like to ask about the more international scenario. We are all aware that unfortunately there is an ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and this has sort of like affected fuel prices worldwide. Um, do you think that, for example, the MPA's decarbonization efforts could be affected by this conflict or others that could happen in the future?
the conflict has kind of resulted in higher oil prices with downstream impact on prices of
Mm-hmm.
conventional marine fuel, right? And the higher fuel prices have led to increased pressure on the maritime industry to
Mm-hmm.
look into future fuel and the energy transition. I think it have kind of like increased the momentum for us. We need to
Mm-hmm.
recognize that decarbonization is a long-term challenge and
Yeah.
that we need to stay connected and press
Mm-hmm.
on with our sustainability efforts. The current situation also highlights the importance of tackling decarbonization throughout the supply chain so that
Yes.
supply chain resiliency of fuel of goods will become something that we need to develop as a capability.
Yes, I agree with you, and I hope that yeah, the decarbonization isn't slowed down but actually accelerated. I think we all can agree on that. And moving on to digital, you've mentioned that Singapore and the MPA is looking to strengthen decarbonization and digitalization. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about the ongoing efforts to strengthen digitalization. Uh,
Happy to do so. One of the things is that the last 2 years pandemic has kind of further accelerated the pace of digital transformation in the maritime industry. Within a
Mhm,
short span of time, we have seen more maritime companies adopt digital solutions to transform their business operation to meet their
mhm,
customers' needs, and also the different ports requirement of contactless operation. Right? We
mhm,
have also seen maritime companies digitalize their internal process to enable their employees to operate remotely because a lot of them may be working from home, and these are new trends that is upcoming. In
mhm,
the recent year, I think MPA has also spearheaded digitalization initiative. In fact, we work with the Singapore Shipping Association, our government agencies, BCG to develop a maritime digitalization playbook such that we can teach and also support the maritime companies to chart
mhm.
out their roadmaps.
Yeah.
In fact, this digitalization playbook was launched in June 2020 in the
Mhm.
midst of this COVID, and
Yeah.
industry players can leverage on these free resources to determine the
Mhm.
level of digital maturity of their organization and then
Yeah.
uncover the opportunities and map out concrete steps
Mhm.
towards this digital transformation. In Singapore, we also launched the Industry Digital Plan, which is part of the plan to support the SME to go digital.
Mhm.
So with this is actually supported with IMDA and Enterprise Singapore in Singapore, as
Mhm.
well as Skills Future Singapore to make going digital simple for our SMEs. It provides SMEs with a step-to-step guide,
Mhm.
each stage of their growth, as well as the digital skills training that they require. In fact, this year we have extended IDP to more SMEs, and we hope that more will actually benefit from this program.
That is in fact really interesting because you've mentioned two. things that I consider key for the industry to capitalize on digitalization, that are, you know, the digital maturity and at which stage of the digital maturity each stakeholder, each company, each board is, and the skills to actually benefit from them. Because uh, I think you will agree with me that there is a lot of talking about the digital transformation across the industry, but when one sort of wants to implement it, where do we start and what is the pathway? So I think that's very interesting. Um, just wanted to ask you a little bit about the UN Commission International Trade Laws Model for Law on Electronic Transferable Goods. I understand that you've been working on that and it took place slightly over a year ago. I don't know if you could tell me a little bit about how that will impact maritime trade.
Let me start by sharing the broader challenge faced in the
Yeah.
adoption of electronic documents. They
Hmm.
include the initial cost of implementation, interoperability and scalability of solution, the
Hmm.
need for the value chain integration, as well as cross-border recognition,
Hmm.
including legal harmonization, and also the confidence in the use of electronic document versus the traditional paper documents.
Hmm.
So it is with this in mind that we actually want to address the need for cross-border recognition and legal harmonization, and raise the confidence in these electronic documents, that we enacted the legislative amendment in 2021 to incorporate the UN Commission International Trade Law Model Law on electronic transferable record, UNCITRAL, model law, to into Singapore Electronic Transaction Act. So with this, therefore, electronic document,
Hmm.
especially even including the transferable electronic document, would
Yeah.
now be recognized under the Singapore law, and it gives greater confidence, greater assurance to
Hmm.
companies, such that when they implement such a digital record for their customers and for their partners, they know that there is a legal system that is backing them, supporting them.
Okay, I think that makes a lot of sense because that way, this existing, let's say, fear or concern about digitalizing and how to transform all documents, all records, and even the risk, the cyber risks that imply, that's something that should sort of like foster this transformation. Uh, Speaking about cybersecurity, what protocols is the MPA implementing to guarantee the resilience against any potential cyber attacks and minimize the risks?
Indeed, I often say that the cybersecurity and digitalization are two sides of the same coin. So, as we digitalize our operation to enhance
Mhm.
efficiency, we are also faced with more technological risks. All right, therefore, it's important
Mhm.
to make sure that Singapore's position as a safe and secure global hub port is not compromised. And to do that, we want to build up our cyber resiliency in our sector. We have developed four strategies. Namely, first is to strengthen the resiliency of our maritime critical information infrastructure, right? We usually
Mhm.
call that the CII. Secondly, is to raise the cyber readiness level in our maritime community, making them aware of the vulnerabilities and the risks. Third is to develop strong maritime cybersecurity ecosystem. So this is where we kind of invest in the R&D, test bidding of new solution.
Yeah.
And the fourth, but not least, is
Mhm.
forging strong international partnership. And with that, I had to say that actually we have established a Port Authority CIO cybersecurity network. We call them the PACnet in October 2020. So PACnet brings together a community of like-minded port authorities to share
Mhm.
actionable information
Mhm.
and to respond to potential and active cybersecurity threats collectively. There are currently 11 members from North America, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia. So we hope through
Mhm.
this network, every members could actually contribute, share the information, and pass on detecting the threats early, contain, and then respond to this threat decisively,
Okay.
and of course to safeguard our overall maritime community.
So we can say that definitely, uh, alongside innovation, the need for collaboration, just like in decarbonization, to achieve a resilient digital marine ecosystem, collaboration is a key element for that goal.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense because that way, by sharing this data, we can definitely move forward and properly manage our assets, our digital assets, vessel traffic. Uh, on that, I wanted to ask you also about the next generation vessel traffic management system that I think is replacing your current system. How does the new system differ from the old one?
Well, first, let me give you the context. Today we have more than 130,000 vessels call
Mhm.
on Singapore annually, and our current vessel traffic information system have been able to handle such volume and have
Mhm.
served us well since 2010, right? But it integrates data from various sources such as radars, AIS, CCTVs, and comm system
Mhm.
to provide some, accurate and real-time situation awareness
Mhm.
of the shipping traffic, right? But we expect that the vessel traffic is going to increase in the coming years in terms of
Mhm.
scale, in terms of density, in terms of complexities as
Of
well, right?
course.
In our
Mhm.
busy port waters.
Yeah.
So, which is why, because of transport, when they complete, there will be more vessels calling, and all types of vessels besides container. You have liner, you have also tankers and bulk, which is
Mhm.
why we want to develop our next generation vessel traffic management system to continue to uphold this high safety and
Mhm.
efficiency standard for our hub
Mhm.
port. So in the next generation vessel traffic management system, we will
Mhm.
be able to see and utilize data analytics,
Mhm.
machine learning to identify
Mhm.
traffic hotspots
Yeah.
in advance so that we
Right.
can then kind of alert. And this can be using advanced algorithm to predict potential collision situation. Um, and with that, with the next gen vessel traffic management system,
Mhm.
MPA and the vessel masters, will be able to access more accurate and timely information to react and avert potential incident, which makes it all safer for all of us. So, and the system will also leverage on ongoing digitalization in the maritime industry as well
Mhm.
as the global development, such as the IMO e-navigation initiative to enable two-way ship shore digital information exchange for better situation awareness and, of course, navigation safety.
There seems to be a lot going on. Even myself, that I'm not a special doctor, I was trying to keep up with everything that is happening, and it does seem really interesting. Um, and that I think Singapore has a lot of potential to become as well as a hub for green finance and for trade, for digital maritime business and maritime trade as well. What would you say is the role that startups play in this?
Startup play a key role in catalyzing innovation and
Mhm.
transformation of maritime industry. The
Mhm.
founders, the way they think about it, the
Mhm.
courage to try new technologies, pushing the boundaries, are very good innovation energy for maritime.
Mhm.
So in 2018, MPA and our NUS enterprise established Pier 71 startup program. Pier 71 actually stands for Port Innovation Ecosystem Reimagine. We want to reimagine the innovation scene, right? To support marine tech startup in developing solution for the maritime industry. And this startup can be within the maritime industry. There are many, veterans in the maritime industry that step forward and become founders and establish startup. We have also seen startup from other sector, from the fintech coming into maritime industry. We have
Right.
seen construction, drones coming into maritime industry. We have seen
Mhm.
healthcare
Yeah.
startup coming into
Yeah.
maritime. So it's
Well,
wonderful. So Pearson 1 actually launched a 4th edition of
okay.
Smart Port Challenge. So we have a flagship program which is called Smart Port Challenge, which is an annual program
Okay.
where we pose the industry challenge to the global startup, and
Mm-hmm.
we invite global startup to tackle these industry challenges. So far, we have garnered almost like 650 proposals,
Wow.
and we have accelerated 78 more startups. So MPA, we also play a role in providing small funding to
Mm-hmm.
allow the startup to work with the maritime companies to run trials and also to kind of prove the value of their solution. So far, we have more than 30 startups that actually have go through that, and very happy to say that 13 solutions actually have been fully deployed in that industry.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's amazing. And it is interesting because when thinking about startups, we tend to only think about the technology, the new disruptive technology that comes into the industry. But alongside technology, we also need talent and skills to sort of operate and make the best out of them. I understand that the MPA has set up the Sail Milestone Achievement Program to, for example, support local seafarers to attain milestones in their seafaring training and career progression. I think it includes over $12 million, this program. Um,
That's right.
what would you say that the overall benefit is going to be by sort of increasing the talent and or transforming the talent in general? I would like to know a little bit more about that.
Both in terms of new talent, we see in
Hmm.
both ways. One is a seafaring experience, and the
Hmm.
other one is the onshore experience, right?
Okay.
So seafaring experience is important in the maritime.
Hmm.
I'm sure everyone will agree. And they can open doors to very good shore-based career after their seafaring journey. So
Hmm.
with the sail map, we hope to encourage the local seafarers to progress and attain key milestones in their seafaring career. This will enhance the retention of local seafarers,
Right.
build up a ready pipeline of seafaring professionals to fill the many good jobs in the maritime sector,
Hmm.
which often require seafaring experience, right? Like, for
Yes.
instance, your superintendent, your class
Hmm.
surveyors would benefit a lot if they have a seafaring experience. So
Hmm.
these manpower development efforts will also further support the growth of Maritime Singapore, because many, as I mentioned, 170 shipping groups are based in Singapore, and they will
Hmm.
benefit from all these professionals who have sea experience coming onshore to work for them, and thereby strengthening their company and also strengthening Singapore as a global maritime leader.
Hmm. And then this is sort of for the onshore and for the at sea experience. Sorry. What about, for example, the graduate mechanical engineer conversion course? I understand that the MPA and the Singapore Maritime Academy are working together on this. Could you tell us a little bit about this program?
Sure, you have really done your research very well. the the global mechanical engineer, we call it the conversion course, right?
Hmm.
It's a course to target at engineering diplomas or degree holders who intend to take up seafaring as a career. So it provides a accelerated pathway for an engineer graduate to be trained to become a shipboard marine engineers, shortening the duration from the current, I would say, 120 weeks to
Right.
just 22 weeks.
Oh, that
So
is
each
amazing.
intake will see a minimum of 10 students, And with this course, we hope to supplement the pool of students taking the diploma in marine engineering at the Singapore Maritime Academy, and therefore expanding the pool of shipboard marine engineers in the industry.
That will definitely be something that will benefit the industry to attract and retain talent. Finally, just to looking into the future, we've talked about engineering, we've talked about seafarers, but we've also talked a lot about cross border between other sectors. And again, new skills will be required for that. In your views, what skills do you think could become valuable for the maritime sector in the coming years as the industry evolves?
Yeah, maybe I will mention a few, right,
Mm-hmm.
for the audience consideration. First,
Uh-huh.
from the port perspective, I think
Mm-hmm.
Singapore container port operation will progressively be consolidated in Tuas. So the operation will be highly automated with the use of the automated and remote control equipment,
Mm-hmm.
such as I mentioned before on the next generation vessel traffic management system. So these smart systems will leverage on data analytics, machine
Mm-hmm.
learning, and many of these data centric technology. So it is important that our new generation of talent and also colleagues are also going through this capability development, right? So I think that's an important area. Second area is I think is maritime. I think is going through a period of rapid decarbonization, digitalization, and
Mm-hmm.
technological disruption. Right. So I think it is important that some technical literacy skill is important in as our future generation of of talent and
Mm-hmm.
workforce. I think those are important aspects. And of course, our new generation of talent will require future-ready skill to help shape the future of ports, shipping, and maritime, because they will be our new generation of leaders in the future that will lead maritime into the next generation, right? In terms of environment, in terms of sustainability, in terms of digitalization. And they will include like environmental engineers, data analysts, maritime service specialists, even 3D printing personnel, software
Okay.
developers. So there are many new capabilities and jobs that will be available. And beyond these emerging growth areas, I think the
Mm-hmm.
maritime industry will always continue to require talent in existing roles, right? Like seafarers, marine engineers, shipbrokers, finance, and maritime lawyers. So
Mm-hmm.
maritime is really a ecosystem that has a diverse professions, diverse talent,
Mm-hmm.
diverse skill sets that we often find interesting and exciting to support the various profession in maritime to be future ready.
Mhm. That is very commendable, and I think it really opens the perspective for the maritime sector for the future. And well, Kenneth, I would like to thank you a lot for all these insights. And I could continue talking with you, but unfortunately, I'm aware there is a time difference. But I do hope that we can continue this conversation and learn more about what the MPA is doing when we meet in November at Tech Asia. Again, Kenneth, thank you so much for your time and all your insights.
Thank you so much, and I really look forward to meeting everyone in person in November soon.